We're going to follow the 80-20 rule this afternoon because 80% of my remarks were really written with what I would call this graduating class. It almost feels like a commencement to me, these finalists and these honorees who are taking the next step in their leadership journey. You know, I've been this tall since the 5th grade. I'm 6 feet tall. Could I just get a quick show of hands? Do I have any other tall sisters in the house? Okay, between me and 10 of my closest, newest friends, where did we have to stand during class pictures? That's it, in the back. Pants ever long enough? No. And stop me when my hand comes to the place on my body where the boys that you always danced with at the middle school dances, where they came up to you on your body. Good for them, not so good for you. I was also lucky enough to be born the year that insightful men and passionate women were able to pass Title IX legislation. And for any of you in the House today who worked hard to get that legislation passed, I want to thank you. Because without it, a freakishly tall and angular 5th grader would not have known what to do with herself through middle and high school. But it became very quickly evident that athletics was going to have a role to play in my future. And I started actually dribbling my basketball to school in the 5th grade. I shot up to 6 feet tall. I started dribbling my basketball, and by the time I was in the 6th grade, I could dribble with my left hand as well. And by the time I was in the 7th grade, I was starting to get those letters from colleges saying, you might want to think about, and it became my dream to play in the NCAA, but then I blew my knee out twice. So I went to Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa to study economics and international relations, and my junior year, like many of you have either decided to do or have already done, I did a junior year abroad. And I wasn't going for academic rigor. As an economist, as an economics major, I went to study the free market at the Karl Marx University of Economic Sciences in Budapest, Hungary. So I knew that the class load was going to be light, but I was there for the 12-ounce curls, right? So the bottom line in all of this is that by this time my knee was rehabilitated. I was back being a gym rat, playing pickup basketball, and I went with my American guy friends to pick up basketball on a Monday afternoon, and we started at 3, and about 4:30, a Hungarian man in a navy blue jumpsuit, I think that's the international color for maintenance engineer jumpsuits, came out and said, get off the court. So we all hurried off the court. And in through the back of the gym walked the biggest, and to that point in my life, the hairiest women I had ever seen in my life. I was just a kid from West Bend, Wisconsin. I had never seen such big fuzzy women. But we sat back, right, on the bleachers, and we watched them, and they played amazing basketball. This happened on Monday afternoon. It happened again on Tuesday afternoon. And on Wednesday afternoon, when these women were playing basketball, we stayed kind of as groupies to always watch them. One of my American friends turned to me and he said, you should go out for this basketball team. And I said, forget it. My dream had always been to play in the NCAA. I blew my knee out twice. That wasn't going to happen. There's no way. And then he said those magic words that no tomboy can turn down. He said, what did he say? I dare you. He upped it, baby. He said, double dog dare you. So during a break in their practice, I walked out onto the parquet floor. It was very much like this, wood floor, you know. Walked out onto the wood floor, and I said, I'm embarrassed that I had to say this. I said, do any of you speak English? Right? And up walked 5'6". She was clearly the captain of the team, the point guard. She said, I speak English. And I said, can I try out for this team? She called her coach over. She said something to the coach in Hungarian. He said something back to her. She translated, and she said, please listen. She said, you can try out for this team. It's a professional basketball team, but only if you've never played in the NCAA. I was at once happy and puzzled, right? I was happy because I thought, holy cow, you never know where the windows and the doors are going to swing open. The windows and doors of opportunity are going to swing open. And then I was puzzled because I thought, is this some weird communist rule? I mean, this is like 92. The last Russian tank had just rolled out in 91, you know? So in that moment, I realized something that I'm willing to bet that every one of these leaders honored here today has confronted, and that is, I had an opportunity to be an accidental leader, to accidentally step into a moment of opportunity, a moment of potential greatness that I hadn't even conceptualized. I mean, I wanted to play in the NCAA. There weren't even opportunities for women to play professionally in the United States during this time. So I agreed to try out for the team. 2 weeks later, the cut sheet was posted. My name wasn't on it. I had made the team. Now, when I took this step up to going from amateur to having an opportunity to play professionally in Europe, there were some things I had to do differently. And I want to frame this up for you. I call it my ACE strategy. I've used it when I started my business. I use it all the time. My staff is so tired of hearing about this ACE strategy, but it's literally this. When given the opportunity to take a step up, whatever that means in your career, professionally, in your civic life, in your creative life, what can you add, what can you change, and what must you eliminate or let go of to make room in your life for that opportunity? So very quickly, I'm going to tell you what I added, and I'm going to give some challenges to our next generation of leaders in Indiana. What I added was a foreign language, right? I realized that 13 Hungarian women were not going to learn to speak English for me, right? And so I very quickly learned the technical terminology around basketball, right? I learned basketball is a labda, or koshar labda, right? So I learned all of these technical terms, and then I learned the social terminology so that the banter that happens on the bus, the things that happen during dinner, I could understand, I could laugh, and I could grow along with this team. I fell in love with each and every one of these women, with all of our coaches, right? My challenge to our next generation of leaders in Indiana is to add fluency in other areas of your life. And here's what I mean by that. So often in this country, we are pigeonholed. Myopically, if we're excellent at technical skills, we're expected to do more and more and more and more of those things, which allows us sometimes, to completely neglect the creative side of our lives, right? There are things that are calling you in many directions. None of us as humans are individuated, right? Have only one reason for being. We all have many passions. Please develop fluency in other areas of your life. I beg you to travel. I beg you to, and the governor might hate me for saying this, but find opportunities to leave this state. And the reason this is important, seriously, we did a project for the governor of Iowa. He called and said, I need you to help us figure out how to keep all of Iowa's graduates. I said, Governor, put your phone down and call the next consultant. I can't help you. He said, what do you mean? I said, I think Iowans should leave Iowa. And then my next sentence was, but we need to invite them back when they're ready to capitalize on all that the great state of Iowa has to offer. He called me back in 2 weeks, and we did a boomerang campaign that's been wildly successful for the state of Iowa. But when I say that you need to add fluency in another part of your life, Indiana may not have all that you need, or it may not have all that you need right now or all that you crave, right? So go. Have experiences in Atlanta and Austin and San Francisco, and the two most international cities in North America right now are Toronto and Vancouver, right? Go and spread your wings, but know, always know that you are welcome back and that this is your home. So please add fluency in another area of your life. And for those of you who are steeply immersed in technical pursuits, do not forget how important it is to develop the creative side of your mind. I'm nervous right now in our country. I'm nervous because we're focusing a lot on science, which is good. We're focusing a lot on engineering, which is great. We're focusing a lot on technical fields, whether that's medicine or science or whatever it is. And I'm concerned that what we've forgotten are the creative, humanistic parts of our brain that need nourishment so that we truly can think outside of the box. So as you are leading in your companies and in your communities, let us have a balanced scorecard. around certainly investing in tech transfer, technical skills, making sure that our students speak science fluently, but let us also remember that the inspiration, the return on inspiration, comes from the creative community. The second letter of this ACE strategy is change. What can I change, right? We have to add some things to take the step up. We have to change some things. Right? What I changed was my diet, because the dirty little secret is you can't drink that much beer. I'm from Wisconsin, right? Miller comes out of the tap in Wisconsin. You can't have the diet I was having. You can't put those things into your body and expect to be able to respond like a professional basketball player. So I changed the way I gave my body rest, I changed the way I gave my body nutrition, and I changed what I expected from my body. Now, what I would encourage you as young professionals to do is to change your in-look. And actually, here I'm really talking to our women, young professionals, our next generation of women leaders. Because men, you're hardwired a little bit differently. I think men are hardwired, I see this in my brother. You know, my brother is 5'6", he thinks he is Michael Jordan, right? Endless confidence, endless confidence. Women are somewhat different. So when I say to change your in-look, here's what I mean. See if you find yourself in this category. As leaders, we are counted on to give a sunny outlook, right? A sunny view of the world. It's what mobilizes people. It's a heliotropic effect. How did Ronald Reagan beat the pants off of Jimmy Carter besides OPEC and all those things that were going on in that election? He did it because he talked about things like a city on a hill. He inspired hope and confidence, and he shined the light. And people, like plants, are drawn to sun. So as leaders, we are counted on to have a sunny or an optimistic view that mobilizes the folks who put their trust in us. But so often, our in-look is horrible. I found myself doing this today. I was getting my suit on, right? I was all showered up, getting cleaned up, and I caught my backside in the mirror. And I thought, honey, you got to wear your jacket. Now, what does that say about my in-look, right? We all do this. We all catch ourselves doing this. But let me just ask you this. If anybody that you loved or cared about talked to you the way you talk to yourself, how long would they be on your holiday card list? How long would they last in your speed dial or in your PDA? Not long. So we must change our in-look. I had the pleasure of meeting with several of the award winners. And I met with one young woman yesterday afternoon, and she was so humbled by receiving this award because she said, this is so much a team effort. It is so difficult for me to stand up and say, yes, this is my award, because it really belongs to our team. And while I understand what she's talking about, because there are no islands, right? Being a maverick works until you realize that even leaders require followers and so on and so forth, right? But what I wanted to share with that young person is that the quicker that she realizes that she has skills and has abilities that inspire followership in others, the quicker she will be able to make even more lasting impact. Please, the next generation of leaders, please do not wait for somebody to call you a leader again and again and again. The way leadership has typically been transferred in our country has been through war. We've been embroiled in battles. We send our men, our young men, our sons, and now our daughters off to those battles, and when they come back, they've earned their stripes. We can talk about military metaphor after military metaphor, right? My dad went off as an 18-year-old, he came back as a man from World War II, right? So we've always used conflict, right, to transfer leadership. That's how you earned your stripes, that's how you became a leader. We're in a conflict now, I know, but that has been an outdated methodology for transferring leadership. So please, young leaders, do not wait for somebody to come up and anoint you and place the tiara or the crown on your head and say that you are now a leader, right? Leaders are anyone who wants to lead. So please change your in-look and see yourself as a leader. Treat yourself with that dignity and respect. Finally, eliminate. What did I let go of when I took that step up to be a professional basketball player? Well, with all that time studying my Hungarian books, learning the language, with all that time cooking my own food, making sure I was getting the right nutrients, I had to let a few things go. And this happens when you try to take the step up to leadership, take the step up, the next step in your career or professional or civic life. So I let my razor go. There simply wasn't time. And when in Rome, there are some things that you too will need to let go of. Maybe you will need to let go of the belief that fill in the blank on this one. It's got to be done right, so I might as well do it myself, right? Maybe we need to build core teams around us so that we're not the only people pulling the all-nighters to get the projects done. We are going to have to let some things go. I think for the next generation of leaders, the next generation of Hoosier leaders, one of the things we must let go of, one of the things we must work to eliminate are barriers for others. Because you're in this room, you're already privileged. If you drive a car, you are more wealthy than 80% of the people on this planet. We've been studying where young professionals live and work since 1998. And in talking with over 6,500 young leaders, asking them, why do you live in the communities you live in? Why do you work the places where you work? They say it's not about tolerance. Nobody wants to be tolerated, right? Tolerated is like saying, you and me, we're different, but I'm going to tolerate you. I'm going to put up with you. I'm going to deal with you. People want to be included. And that is a marked shift, right? Young professionals are voting with their feet. They are moving to communities that aren't just tolerant, but that are inclusive. I don't think it's any wonder that Atlanta has a black female mayor, right? And that it has become one of the hottest cities for young professionals. Young professionals are looking at this, looking around their communities and saying, man, if she can make it, anybody can make it, right? She's overcome so much. If she can make it, I can make it. So what we as the next generation of leaders must do is eliminate barriers for others. Because to the extent that anybody can make it in Indiana, that is going to be directly proportional to the kind and the caliber of talent that this state attracts. So we must work to eliminate barriers. Now, a couple of other very quick stories. I was supposed to be at this conference last year. I don't know if any of you were here last year, but the conference was the same thing, kind of a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I got a call the previous Friday from my dad's hospice nurse who said, you need to come. You need to come home. Your dad's taking his last walk. So I got up to West Bend, Wisconsin. My dad was clearly in decline. He still recognized me when I got there. He was clearly in decline, and I had a really big week lined up. I had you guys, I think it was on a Wednesday that I was to speak last year at this conference. I had you guys on Wednesday, I had Charles Schwab on Thursday, and I had Capital One Financial Service. It's kind of a big, heavy-hitting week, right? So I sat down with Kelly, the hospice nurse, like it's my dad, my mom, me, and my brother, and Kelly, our hospice nurse. We're all sitting in the living room, and Kelly says to me, it could be any time. And I said, when will it be? Right? Now, you have to remember, right? You don't get the Entrepreneur of the Year award for sitting on your thumbs. You don't get called a leader, right?